Every city, every town moves to its own rhythm. You hear it in the soft percussion of footsteps, the steady pulse of people in motion, the rising and falling tempo that shapes how we live, connect, and travel through our days. In Providence, Rhode Island, it's a rhythm that carries the echoes of its colonial ancestors. But for some, moving through this world isn't always easy. Where getting to your destination can be a daily challenge, and sometimes a bit frightening. For Daniel Solomon, a young college student and artist born with a visual impairment that turns the brightness of day into a daily obstacle, the city's rhythm is something he's had to approach with a mix of courage and uncertainty, one careful step at a time.
It's really most challenging for me during the day when it's light out, when there's a lot of glare, and really trying to read street signs, read different markers, and trying to find, for instance, like what bus I'm supposed to get on, stuff like that. There are so many variables on the street. There are so many cars that are quite aggressive. There's a lot of pedestrians, and especially the bikes that are practically motorcycles.
A year ago, while working an internship in New York City, Daniel had a frightening encounter with one of those motorized delivery bikes when it collided with him at a busy street corner. His injuries weren't severe, but the encounter left him with a shaken confidence that took longer to heal than the bruises he carried home.
That really diminished my confidence in my ability to get around. It's one thing to walk around, it's another thing to walk around with conviction and with confidence.
Because your nearest is over there, you're right. But again, it doesn't dictate to here.
Right.
So,
back at school in Providence, Daniel began building the skills he'd need to move through the city with confidence.
Right.
That work included travel training, the kind offered by specialists like Jean Bousquet, a certified mobility specialist with Rhode Island's Office of Rehabilitation Services, who helps people with visual impairments learn to travel independently.
I teach them how to use a white cane, how to access public transportation, how to travel around doctor's offices, grocery stores, or other places that they just need to get to during the day. I've seen people who've lost their vision and they became isolated, they became depressed, they weren't able to get out of their home. And by me coming in and explaining about orientation and mobility and teaching them, they were able to become more independent and feel more secure. Just because you have a visual impairment doesn't mean you stop living. And that's what my goal is to get them back out into their community.
At the same time, the Rhode Island Public Transit Authority, better known as RIPTA, offers travel training and rider support to anyone who needs it to help riders navigate the system safely and confidently. For more than half a century, finding ways to help people get where they need to go has been at the heart of RIPTA's work. And through the decades, that mission has grown alongside the communities they serve. It's a mission embodied by people like Peter Michaud, who has spent much of his career helping Rhode Islanders learn to use the public transit system and gain the independence that comes with it.
Years ago, we put together a guide for how to ride guide for seniors with AARP, and we started getting requests from senior centers and some high-rises to come out and talk to seniors about taking the bus. So I would go through the guide, talk to seniors about transitioning from driving to taking the bus. And I spoke to a lot of people who, 6 months ago maybe they could drive, it was fine, and now they have sort of visual impairment and they're no longer able to drive, and they've never used the public transit system in the state. So this information was really important to them, and maybe if it wasn't for them, it might have been a wife or a husband. So you never knew when you went out to one of these places who was going to use this information. And then I started getting requests from middle schools and transition programs.
As more classrooms, community groups, and organizations turned to RIPTA's travel trainers for help, the need for broader support quickly became clear. Around that time, the Federal Transit Administration launched its innovative Coordinated Access and Mobility Grants and contracted with CTAA's Coordinated Council on the Access and Mobility Technical Assistance Center, known as CCAM-TAC, which provides technical assistance and training to every ICAM grantee. RIPTA seized upon this grant opportunity, allowing them to deepen the outreach they had long provided to riders facing the greatest barriers.
So many people who work at senior centers and day programs were already answering questions all the time about RIPTA. Without any training, they were becoming experts. And so we started out by forming a working group, and that was the best thing that we did because we had advisors throughout this project who gave us really honest feedback, who told us what their clients' perspectives were, how they worked together every day to navigate, the transportation system in Rhode Island. And I know that their input made this project so much better.
After you get off the bus, Levon, do you need to walk to the mall entrance?
Yes.
Okay, where does that stop let us off?
Drawing on the knowledge gained from their working groups, RIPTA developed new resources to strengthen the work of the people who teach and guide. In classrooms like those led by special education instructor Melissa Benavides, these materials are helping young people build the confidence and skills to travel on their own.
Melissa's doing great stuff, and she takes the kids on the bus and she's doing a scavenger hunt with them so they map out where they need to go. And she's not the only one who does it. There's a lot of people in the state who work in these transition programs. Then we made some videos.
Ready to ride RIPTA? Let's learn tips for riding the bus. Let's say you're on your way to work. Plan to get to your stop at least 5 minutes before the bus is scheduled to arrive.
It's really amazing. We created these training modules that these videos bring them to life and they make the information really interesting and exciting, simplified, and they're quick. It was actually a lot of work to create videos that I think in some ways come across as simple, but it was very intentional and we had a really great team behind us to make sure we got it right.
Daniel Solomon now moves through Providence with a confidence he once wasn't sure he'd find. And the students of Melissa Benavides' classroom now step onto the bus with an enlightened sense of possibility. Here in Providence, and all across Rhode Island, RIPTA is helping carry forward the Federal Transit Administration's legacy of ensuring people reach the moments that matter. A national effort shaped by local stories and the everyday journeys that link us all along these roads we share.